Excellent. So today I want to show you one thing that I find very useful at work. And also I want to show you two techniques how to get that done. So let me start sharing the screen. But just before I do that, J-Look. I hope I'm saying this correctly. J-Look, good morning. Nice to see you here. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Let me start sharing my screen, and then I can show you what I mean by what we're going to see today. And I'm going to share just quickly here. And I'm going to share in here. Perfect. Just let me remove this taskbar because it's a little bit distracting sometimes. So let me just remove that in here. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. This is the final product. This is what we're going to achieve today. But the goal is I have some information from several stores from the months of January to March, let's say. So the thing here is that the name of the file needs to be added to the information that is coming from this file, okay? So let me show you what I mean. Here I have the files on my desktop and a folder that is called Demo 2022 September 9. And let me open one of them, or let me open the three of them, January to March. I'm gonna select them, I'm gonna press Enter. And this is the content of each file. So it has the province. I'm in Canada, so the provinces are from here, Alberta, British Columbia. I have some comments, and I have the sales of the month. So I don't have the month here, but the month comes in the name of the file. Okay, I'm gonna close January. Same thing with March. Yes, here I have 5 stores in March. I'm gonna close this. And I have February here, right? So all of them have the same structure. That is very important. All of them have the same structure. All of them start in the same line. Perfect. So I'm going to close them, and I'm going to open this query so I can show you what I mean. So I'm going to open the query. If you don't see the query, let me close that. If you don't see your queries here, you need to go to Data, Queries and Connections, and then you will be able to see your queries. When we start a new query, of course, you start blank, you won't have anything here, but in my case, because I already have the queries prepared, then I can see the list of my queries and my functions and everything. So I double click to the first query. That is the first technique that I'm going to show you. And Luis, you have seen this in the other lives because I have, for those who don't know, I have 2 channels, one channel in Spanish, this one in English. The one in Spanish, we have sessions every Tuesday, and this channel is every Saturday. So I have shown this technique in my channel in Spanish, but the other technique I haven't. So with this technique, what we're going to do, I'm going to call all the files. So Control-Shift+ to make it bigger, to zoom in. I did it too big. I went too much. So this is the content of my folder. We're going to expand that content in here. Here we're going to see the content of each file. Later on, we're going to be transforming the information. We're going to get the information as it comes. We're going to transform that information without expanding the tables in the next step. We're going to be removing, as you can see here, we have a line that we don't need over here, and the titles are in the second line. So in here, we're going to remove the first line. We're going to promote the headers. Later on, the key here is to add this column name to this table. So I need to figure out a way to add this column to here. So the first technique, we're going to use a function within the formula. So in here, this is the mini function that we're going to use to add that information to this table. Okay, so later on, this is going to be my final column. This is the information that I will need. And later on, I will just expand the information from that column, and I'm going to transform. I make a small transformation here, and then I'm going to pass to Excel. This is the first technique. The second technique, we are going to create a function. We're going to create this function to allow the creation of that column inside of the table. So the function is very small, very simple, but it's going to help us to bring that information inside of that table, right? So up to here, the query is the same than the previous technique. Here, we are going to invoke that function to add this column to this table. You can see here, we get the same result than the other technique, but now we have two options, and you can choose whatever works better for you or is more interesting for you, okay? So let's start creating our query. And let me see the chat because I see some hellos. Oh, Christian, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. What a surprise. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very happy to see you here. Yes, from Romania. Yes, it must be late out there. Maybe, huh? Maybe it's the afternoon, evening time over there. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Very appreciated. Thanks. For those who don't know, Christian has a meetup group and also a YouTube channel where he has all his session recorded. I recommend you watch that out. That's the place where I met Chandip, Chandip Chabra. I didn't know about him until I saw that meetup presentation in Christian's meetup group. So I truly recommend. It's the meetup from Romania. Let me see if I can find it quickly. I can show you on the screen because it's very useful. I strongly recommend. So let me quickly, since I'm here, and before we start working in our queries, let me show you. Where is Romania? Here. Perfect. Okay, just let me open that very quickly. This is the meetup group that Christian has. So I strongly recommend. He just had Gasper. So very recommended. Thank you so much for being here, Christian. Awesome. Okay. 6 p.m. in Romania. Thank you so much for being here. Excellent. And he will have Excel, Jodala. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing wrong, but thank you so much for being here. Welcome. I haven't seen you here. So thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Okay, so let's start working. So what I'm going to do, just to make sure that I'm not going to have issues later on, I'm going to leave these queries on the top, and I'm going to just create a folder and start from scratch. If you're going to start from scratch, what you're going to do is you're going to go to a new workbook. You're going to go to data, get data, from file, from folder. You will select the folder that you are looking for. In my case, will be demo 2022 September 9. Double click there, and you are going to select that. You will have in here all the files that are included in that folder. You will select transform data. Don't combine. We are not ready to combine because we don't need the tables to be expanded. We need the tables to stay nested, to stay in one line, because we need to transform those tables inside of that line, let's say. And then when they are ready, then we can expand them. So for that reason, we cannot combine, we cannot load yet, we need to transform. So we're going to transform. And then you will get the Power Query Editor. And that's what you're going to get, okay? I will meet you there because I find very useful. I'm going to discard this. I find very useful to work in my same file. And if something goes wrong, I can just go back to that query and then look what is going wrong, okay? So I'm going to just here on the section of the queries, Control-Shift+ to zoom in. I'm going to right-click and I'm going to say New Group. because I want to pass all of this in one folder, right? I want to have a little bit of organization here. So my new group will be demo recorded, prepared. So this is what I just already prepared. So I'm gonna select all of these. I selected all of them. I'm gonna drag them to that folder. And now I'm ready to create my new queries from scratch. So I'm gonna just click at the little arrow there just to minimize the folder. And then I have this a little bit cleaner, right? I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say new query, file, folder. Same thing, it's gonna ask me where the folder is coming from. On the desktop is the demo 2022 September 9, double click there. That's the folder I want, I'm gonna say open. Here I have the content, just as we saw in the Excel spreadsheet, same thing. We are gonna have this Ctrl+C+ to zoom in. Here I have the folder that I want, but I also have some files that I don't need, but I need to bring them, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna transform data. Excellent. Now, this is my starting point, and I want this. I don't want this on my folder demo prepared. I'm gonna select it and I'm gonna drag it to the other queries folder. And then I'm gonna minimize the demo prepared folder. Excellent. Now I have this information ready to start working with. First thing, for those who are familiar with the channel, I like to always do some steps to prevent errors later on. So I'm going to select the column extension. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say transform uppercase. You can say uppercase, lowercase, it doesn't matter. We just need consistency because Power Query is case sensitive. So what I want to make sure is that I'm always gonna bring Excel files. I don't want TXT, I don't want PDF, I don't want any other type of files. I just want Excel. So I select anywhere where it says XLSX. I'm gonna right click, text filter equals. Now you can see that the TXT is gone, and that is because Power Query here on the code is saying only bring those files that ends in XLSX. Okay, perfect. The next thing that I need to do, I need to make sure that I don't bring any files that are open. And in this case, this file is open, the one that is solved. So you see that tilt at the beginning, that kind of wave at the beginning, that is because the file is open. And if I leave it as is, then Power Query can bring the information from this file solved and this other file solved with the tilt at the beginning, because for Power Query is kind of a different name. So I need to make sure that I don't bring the ones that are open. And also I want to make sure that I don't bring any of the files that say solve. So I'm gonna go here on top of the column. I'm gonna click at the row and I'm gonna say text filters. Text filters does not begin with, and does not begin with that wave, right? So with that tier. So that tier is beside your number one on your alphanumeric keyboard, and Ctrl+Shift+ just to make it a little bit bigger, this tier, okay? Ctrl+Shift- to zoom out. And also, I want that the files does not contain, right here, does not contain solve. And remember, Power Query is case sensitive. So I'm intentionally typing solve all lowercase, even though solve here say it starts with capital, right? So with uppercase. But I'm gonna leave it there because I want to show you how we can fix that in the formula. So I'm gonna say, okay. So you can see that solve is still here, even though I told Power Query, don't bring anything that contains solve, but I didn't tell Power Query to ignore the case. So after solve, after that solve within quotation marks, comma, this formula allows me to have another argument and say, ignore the case. And that's what I'm gonna add. Comparer, ordinal, ignore case. I add that, I press enter, and now you can see that the solve is gone. Perfect, we're making progress here. Another thing that I want to do, I want to keep the name column, but I don't want to keep the extension. So since now, I'm gonna remove the extension, or I'm gonna extract the name of the file. I'm gonna go to transform. extract text before delimiter. I want to extract wherever is before the delimiter, which is the dot. My dot is separating the name and the extension, right? So I'm going to say, okay. Excellent. Now, one thing that I haven't done, I haven't renamed my steps. I'm going to rename them very quickly because it's very useful later on when we need to go back to the steps, and especially today because we're going to get at one point in this query that we need to get back because we're going to create the second, I'm going to show you the second technique, right? So I need to make sure that I go back to the right step. So here is this deal and solve. Okay. It makes sense to me, might not make sense to you, but make sure that your steps are named with something that is really meaningful to you. So I'm going to extracted file name. Perfect. Now, we can do a few things here to extract the information on each file. Oh, let me give you more space on the screen. So here, if you click at any of these lines just beside binary, you will see those files and how many bytes each file has. But I don't want that. I want to expand that information. So the technique that I like to use in here is I'm going to create a new step right here on your formula bar. If you don't have the formula bar visible, you can go to view and make sure that you have a check mark here on formula bar. Because I had it available, then I click at this FX to create a new step. I could have also go to my last step, right click, and insert step after. Either way works. So I created my new step, and what I want to do from there, I want to say table, transform columns. Here. Open parentheses, and I need to provide a table. The table is coming from my previous step, right? That is the result. This is the result from the previous step. So I'm going to say comma. Transform operations. Well, what do I want to do? And I need to provide that as a list. So for Power Query, a list start with this, how is it called? Curly brackets. I was thinking in the name in Spanish, llaves. So the curly brackets. And which column do I want to transform? I want to transform the column called content. That is the one that has my files. So I need to provide the quotation marks, and I want to say content, comma. What is the transformation operation? What do I want to do with that? So I want that each. So remember that each is a kind of a mini function for Power Query within the formulas. So I'm going to say process the following. And what does Power Query need to process? Well, now needs to extract that information from the Excel workbook. So I'm going to say Excel workbooks and open parentheses, and I need to provide the workbook as binary. That's exactly what I have here in my content column. So I'm going to just provide the underscore. The underscore means that it needs to look at every single line of that column. And that's it. I need to close the parentheses. At this point, I cannot promote the headers because I have a line that is not, I cannot promote it as headers, right? So I have a blank line that I need to eliminate first, and later on, I need to promote the headers. When I can promote the headers right away, then I can add here a comma and a true. So by doing this, automatically in the next steps, Power Query promotes the first line as headers, but in this case, I can't because I need to eliminate it. So I'm going to delete that, but I just wanted to let you know so you are aware. So I'm going to press enter, and now from binary, change to table. Now we can see the content of that file, right? So we can see the elements that are part of that file. We're doing good. So now here on the two rows that here at the top, I'm going to click there. I want to expand. I don't want to use the original name as a prefix. I want to extract only the information that comes from my column data. I'm going to say, okay, that's where my tables are coming from. Now you can see if I click beside where it says table, I click at that white spot, And now you can see the tables on each file. This is the line that I was referring to. This line is blank, so I need to eliminate it first before I can promote these headers. Okay, now I just need these two columns. I don't need anything else. So I'm gonna select a column name, press and hold the control key, select data, right click, remove other columns. Perfect. Now, this is when it gets very interesting because what I need to do now, I need to remove the line and I need to promote the headers. Before I do that, let me quickly rename my other steps. Workbooks, workbooks, and then expand this data. And here, I'm gonna just say keep name data. Okay, well, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna add a new column. So I can go here to the formula, to the ribbon, and I can go to the add column tab, and I can say custom column, and I can add it here, or I can go to my formula bar, click at the FX to create a new step, and I can say here, table, add column. I'm gonna open parentheses. Where do I want to add that column? I want to add it to the table that I have here. The table is coming from my previous step. So this is the table, comma. What is the name that I want to give to that new table? The name is gonna be promoted headers, let's say. Comma. And what do I want to do in that column? Well, Power Query, please process the following. So that's why I'm going to provide that each word is kind of that mini function. So process the following. I want you to look at every single, actually, yeah, table skip first, because I need to remove that first line. Table skip. I need to remove one line on the table that is coming from my column data. If the square brackets, that means it's a table, but sorry, it's a column, comma, what is the condition or the count? How many lines do I want to skip or I want to remove, right? So I want to remove one. I'm gonna close parentheses and I'm gonna press enter. Here I have my table now without the first line. I don't have that null. If I go to the column data where the original information is coming from, I can see that line. In my second column, where I have the promoted headers, I don't see that line anymore. I just skip here. I remove that one line. Now I want to promote the headers. So in here, I'm gonna need a table. The table is the result of this table skip. So I can just grab this on table, promote headers, open parentheses. This is the table that I need. And I just need to close the parentheses and enter. I go back to that column, and now you can see that province, store 1, 2, and 3, now they are the titles. That is exactly what I wanted to do. Perfect. Now, the difficult part is how we are going to enter, how we are going to add this column name inside of this table. Okay. So this is the first technique. And here I'm going to say this is going to be promoted headers. And since this is the first technique, I'm going to just duplicate my query right now because the next technique is going to start at this point. So we don't need to do all over again. So I'm going to right click on my query and I'm going to duplicate. So here it is, and it's called demo 2022 September 9th. That should be September 10th. So but I prepared that yesterday night, quite a bit late. So the dates were all mixed up in my mind. And here I'm going to say B. That's going to be technique B. Okay, I go back to my first query, the one, I'm going to rename that one as A. So here on my query A, I'm going to check that out. Yeah, this is the one that I want. Now what I need to do, I need to create a new column. So this time, let's create that column from Yeah, from here, from the ribbon. Add column, custom column. And here, I'm going to say equals. I need to add a column inside of this table. So what I'm going to say is table add column. Which table? Where are the tables coming from? The tables are coming from my promoted headers column. So here, promoted headers. That is where it's coming from. What is the name of the new column? Well, let's say this column inside of this table will be called month. Okay. And what do I want to do inside of that table? Let's say each. And I'm going to say name because I want to bring the information from the column name. I want to bring the information from the column name inside of that table, right? And I'm going to say okay. So you can see that it gives me the error. And that is because the tables are in different environments. Let's say it's different table, right? So for that reason, the each doesn't work here. That's why we need to create that mini function. Let's say to create a function, we need the parentheses and we need the command goes to, and let me just get this down. Equal, perfect. So instead of each, I'm providing this information and I need to provide a parameter. The parameter can be any word. In my case, I'm going to just say X. X, N, M, doesn't matter. I just need to provide a parameter. So Power Query can get into the table and grab the information from the table that I'm seeing. So it's gonna get into the table that is inside of my column promoted headers and grab the information from the column name and put it inside of that table. So once I do that, I press enter and look at this. And it works. And I learned this from Migue Escobar. He has quite a wonderful videos. This is, I believe, 2017, and it's so useful. Honestly, God, I strongly recommend. I'm gonna put the link to that video on the description of this channel. Sorry, of this video, because it really is very useful. So, okay, let me just see. Oh, yes, Christian, I didn't see. No, thank you, Christian. I see here that it says, thank you for the shout out. No problem. Thank you for sharing so much, so useful information. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Igor is leaving. Okay, Igor, you have a great week. No worries. The video stays here, is recorded. So thank you so much for joining. Awesome. Okay. So now I don't see more comments or questions. So let's keep going. Okay. So now we have that information inside. That is perfect. That is exactly what we wanted. So we don't need any of the other columns. I'm going to right click, remove other columns. So, and this column has the title custom. I'm just going to go one step before that. And I'm going to change this custom title here on the formula bar. And I'm going to change it for included month, let's say. And this is just for reference for me. As I said, you may want to change the titles of the name of the steps as well. I'm going to have the files available for you to practice also in the description of this video. Just like within an hour after the video ends. So let's say between 1 hour after this recording, this session ends. So let's say here, this is going to be at month. Just renaming the steps quickly. Oh, yeah. So because I changed the title of the column, let me just copy this. I just want to make sure that I'm going to type that correctly. And the best way to do that is to copy and paste. And because before it was referring to the custom title, That's why it's giving me the error. But now that I changed the name here, now I have the information correctly. I'm going to say keep final. Keep final column. Okay, perfect. Now I can just expand, right? So I'm going to go, I can go to the top of this column and expand, but look what happens. If I expand all the columns, everything stays here hard-coded, and I don't want that. I want this to be as dynamic as possible and to prevent any errors in the future. Because if for any reason, some of the files that come later on don't have these titles or have less or more, actually more stores, then they might not open. They won't open because it's not listed here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this step. And instead of that, I'm going to create a step after. Now let's create it from here. From the last step, right click, insert step after. And from there, what I'm going to say is table combine. Combine. Open parentheses. And it's asking me for the table that I want to combine as a list. Well, they are as a list. They are coming from this column, including month. Open square bracket. And I'm going to say including month. Close parentheses, and I'm going to press enter. And now look, all the columns open or were expanded without hard coding anything here. The problem with this table combine is that if you have other columns around, let's say when we were in this step, where is that one? When we were here, let's say if I want just to expand this information, let me open this as new query. Let me see if it allows me. No, it's not going to allow me. So let me open this, a new query, and I'm going to go a step before. Let's say if here I want to expand, I expand this information, but it stays hard-coded. And I have that issue that with the newest files, if they have a different name, a different number, whatever it is, it has more stores, less stores, they are going to have issues because I might not have the same number of columns. But the good thing about this is that keeps the column with the months, right? The problem with if I try to open this with table combine, look what happens to the name column. I go here, table combine. And then I see in here, I provide this as list from the column data, close parentheses. It opens without hard coding the name of the columns, but then I lose the month. I don't have that column with the called name, so it disappears. So that is the problem, and that's why we need to find ways that we are working on today. So I'm going to delete this helping query. Just wanted to show you. So we are going to go back here. Now, table combine, everything open, and because we added that column with the month, now we have it here. At the end, it's excellent. So I can select this. I can select the comments. I'm selecting the column, pressing and holding the control key. I'm going to select the province. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say unpivot other columns. Perfect. I have the information well organized and ready to work with. And just let me rename these steps and combine, table combine, pivot. Perfect. Now, just the only thing that I need to do, I need to change the data type, select one column, Control A to select the whole table. I'm going to go to transform, detect data type. Now I can pass this to Excel. I'm going to go to home, close and load to. And here, because I'm working in an existing file, I can see my pivot tables from my previous queries. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to get this information only as a connection. So I only create connection and I'm going to say, okay. I'm going to go to a new sheet, or actually from here, this is my the query where I was working on. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say load to, and I want to load this to a pivot table in a new worksheet. And I'm gonna say, okay. From here, I can just get the province here, the value on the values. I can say the month on top of the province. I'm just selecting and dragging that information to the field where I want to have it. So here I go to design and I want to change the layout, report layout, show in tabular form. Excellent. And I go to view and I'm going to say grid lines and I want to remove them. It looks a little bit cleaner. Just let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see, right? And I can also, the attribute, I forgot to change that title. So it's the stores. So I can have the stores. So I can have the title per store per month. So I'm going to right click in any of these grand total numbers. I'm going to say format cells, number, use 1,000 separators. I don't want decimals. And I'm going to say, okay. Oh, I selected number. Well, don't do that. I need to select format numbers. I think I selected cell. So number, this, and let's see. Now everything changes. So if you select just the cell, it's going to change just that specific cell. But if you select number format, then it changes the whole format for the whole field. In this case, I'm selecting the attribute field. So the attribute, no, the values field. So that's why the whole field changed. So you can see now the formatting is a little bit better. Excellent. That is the first technique. So the second technique, let's go to the query demo 2022 September 9B, double click there. And here we are going to start at this point where we promoted the headers, right? So just for those who probably join a little bit later on this session, what we did, we prepared a query originally. We got our information from our file. We uppercased the extension. We selected only the extension that we wanted. We filter the name of the files to get only the information that we need and to remove anything that could be opened. We extracted the name of the file. We removed the extension. We transform. From here, we went from binary, right here. We went from binary to a table. We got the elements that are in that specific file. We expanded that information to get the tables that are inside of those files. We kept the names. We kept only 2 columns, and we promoted headers on the content of those tables. We work with that information and we remove this first line and we promoted the headers. You can see in here. Up to here is the same process. In the first technique, we had to add this column to this table here using this mini function, let's say, using this function to add that information, okay? So that's what we want to change. So from the promoted headers, that's where my second query starts, promoted headers here, right? So now for this, I need a little bit of help. I'm gonna see in here, this table, I'm gonna just use this table. I'm gonna right click, add as new query, because I need that help from that query. So I'm gonna minimize this. This is my query that is gonna help me. And the only thing that I want to do, I want to add a column. I'm gonna go to add column, custom column, and I'm gonna say 1. That's all that I want. I just want to have the code here to get this column in. Once I have this, then I can go to my, actually, I'm going to duplicate it just in case. So duplicate. In case something goes wrong, every time that you're going to create a function, I recommend that you duplicate that query. If something goes wrong when you are creating the function, you have the query to go back and start all over again. Otherwise, you don't have anything to go back to. You need to go and create the process again. So once I have this, I'm going to call this fx add column. Function to add a column, right? So once I'm there, I'm going to go to View, Advanced Editor, and Oh, I don't want all of this. Okay, I just want Control Shift Plus. I just want the last step. I'm gonna delete everything else. The only thing that I want is this, the last step. I'm gonna say add column. And this has to end on that step, add column. Now to convert this to a function, I need to provide to Power Query the parentheses and the command goes to. And here I need to provide two parameters. The parameter that I want to be dynamic is the table and the column, the content of the column. So I'm going to say my table and my column. And this has to be as table. And my table has to be as table. And my column as text. Okay. I'm going to say done. Oh, I didn't, I didn't specify. Oh, well, I specified the parameters, but I didn't change them. So Control Shift Plus. So my table, Control C. My table, I want my table to be dynamic here. Control V. So that's the parameter. My column, Control C, is gonna be dynamic instead of the one. I want my column that I want to add, or the name of the column. So I want to add that information there. I'm gonna say okay. Now I have um, my function ready to go. So because I'm asking for table, that I'm wondering. Anyhow, let's see how it goes. That I actually believe this might not be a table. This might be a text. I think I did it wrong. But anyways, let's try it. And if I did it wrong, we will know very soon. Okay. So now I need to apply that function, or I need to invoke that function to transform these tables. So I'm going to go to add column, invoke custom, and this, it doesn't matter the name of the column because I'm not going to keep it, but now I need to call my function, and my function is fx add column. Click there, and it's going to be, I need a column name. Oh yeah, it's giving me an error because I specified that this information was going to come as a table, and it doesn't allow me. I should have selected text. Sorry, let me go back to my function, and here as table is as text. Okay, now let's go back to our query. Add column, invoke custom, and I'm gonna say fx add column. Now the column where this is coming from is promoted headers, and my column is coming from a column, from another column, and it's called name. And see, let's see what happens. And I'm gonna say okay, and it gave me an error. Table. Okay, I think I just gave this wrong as, okay. Sorry about that. Let me see if I remove this. No. My column. What is the problem here? Let me just check quickly. Table to text, and just let me see. That's why I kept this information here, because this one was working perfectly. So let me see what I did here. No, yeah, my source was a table. Let me just see what I did here. Invoke it, clean, yeah, and name. Oh, probably that's what I'm doing wrong. Let me see. Promoted headers. Okay, let me just go back here. Promoted headers name. Oh, yeah, this as table. Let's see. Oh, it works. Sorry, it's just for some reason I gave this wrong at the beginning. So table is right, text is right, the end is what I did wrong. So let me just go back to my function in here and as table. For some reason, something didn't want to work at the beginning, but the end is as table. And I'm going to say enter. And it works. Okay, it works. So back to the function, so you can see the final product, how it ended. So the function that we created was my table as table, my column as text, and the result of this function needs to come as a table. My function includes only one step, that is adding a column to my table. The table is going to be dynamic. The name of that column will be custom. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to expand the column and this name is going to be lost. And I want that the information that is going to be added is going to come from my column, that's going to be provided as a text. And I'm going to say done, and everything ends in that step. Okay. So that's the result. When I invoke that function to my query, you can see when I invoke that creates a column, so table add column, to the table that is coming from the previous step. The name of the column is fx add column, and is processing the following. It's applying our function, this is our function, fx add column, and that function is asking for two parameters, right? It's asking for the tables that are coming from the promoted headers, and it's asking for the name, for the text that is coming from the column name. That is the only thing that is doing. So press enter, and then here we have the same result with a very different technique. So we created an external, let's say an external function. We had to create this function here and invoke it and bring it here. With the previous step, we created that mini function inside of the formula, right? So now that I have this information here, the process is very similar to the previous one. So in here, I'm gonna just say invoke it, change this step name, enter. I'm gonna remove other columns. So I'm gonna select this column, right click and remove other columns. And oh, you know what? I should have called this month. So I'm gonna just go back here to the invoke it. Actually to my function, I'm going to go to my function and I say, okay, I want to name this column, the new column that I'm going to add, I'm going to call it month instead of custom. Sorry, I thought that's the one that I was going to expand. So enter. Now I'm going to go to my query, D, and now you can see that that column is called month. Perfect. So in here, I'm going to keep final column. Perfect. So now I can expand it. So expanding here, I don't want to use the original name for the column as prefix. I'm going to expand everything else. I'm going to say, okay. Now I have the information exactly like the previous query. I'm going to select month, notes, and I'm going to select province. I'm selecting each column and holding and pressing and holding the control key, right click and unpivot other columns. Now that I have this information, I'm going to just select one column, control A, transform, detect data type. My information is ready to be loaded to Excel. And I'm going to go to home, close and load to, and I want to load this as connection only. So only create connection, and I'm going to say, okay. So with the second technique, we can go and create our next pivot table. I'm going to create it just here beside the previous one. So you can see that it's bringing exactly the same information. Here on J1, I'm going to right click, load to, and I'm going to say pivot table. On the existing worksheet, J1 is correct. I'm going to say okay. From here, I'm going to just say the value, it goes to the values, the province to the rows, the month goes under the province, if I remember correctly, or I think it's the other way around. Attribute, what is the stores, right? I didn't change that name again. So here I have the month first and the province later. Let me change our new table in the same way so you can see that it's exactly the same. So I'm just going to move the province down So I'm gonna leave the month first and then the province second. Gonna go to design, report layout, show in tabular form. Excellent. Now you can see that we have exactly the same information. I'm gonna close this so you can have a little bit more room to see. I'm gonna right click here, number format, number, 1000 separators, 0 decimals, and I'm gonna say okay. Perfect. Now I have the information ready. Both techniques are working in the same way, a little bit different each one, but getting the same result. What I'm gonna do, let me just make all of these ones smaller so you can have a little bit more room to see. And what I want to bring now is the month of April. I just want to show you how quickly this can be transformed. So I go to desktop, I have another folder with additional info, and I'm gonna open this April file. So what I have in here, same thing, same structure, same, it has 5 stores in this case, but I have 3 different sheets with information. So if you cannot see well, let me move on the side so you can see. I have sheet 1 and between parentheses number 2, sheet 1 between parentheses number 3, and sheet 1 number 4, right? So it has 3 different sheets that we need to bring to our file. So I'm gonna close April and I'm gonna add it. Let me go here. I'm gonna copy this file, Control C. I'm gonna go to desktop, add it to the demo folder, and I'm gonna paste here, Control V. Now we have April. Let's go to our pivot tables. Let's go to data, refresh all. And now you can see that in a second, April has been added with every single store and included the 3 sheets. So in no time, same result, and it really is very useful. I really hope you find this useful. You can add the name of the file, you can add numbers, you can add whatever you need in a nested table using any of these 2 techniques. So let me know if you have any questions. I don't see questions in the chat. I just see that Kevin has joined. At one point, I'm sorry, Kevin, I didn't see your chat, your message earlier, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you. So yes, exactly, Luis. The magic just happened before our eyes. So it's so nice. Thank you so much. And I'm very sure that, well, I haven't shown the second technique in my other channel, so I hope you found that information useful. And it's very nice just to be able to create custom functions because it really is very useful. And then we get used to creating them over and over. So it kind of becomes a little bit of fun. So I really like it. So please let me know if you have any questions or comments. But that's all that I had to show you today. So I really hope you find it useful. And let me know if you would like to see something different, if you want a specific topic, or if you have any questions. So here we are to try to respond. And if you don't have any more comments or questions, I will let you go. And I just wish you a very nice week. And I'll see you next Saturday, an hour earlier than today. We go back to our regular time. That is 8 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And I believe it's 9 a.m. In parts of the U.S., Mexico City as well, and Central America. And for Argentina, I believe is 11 a.m. So please let me know. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Seagull, thank you. Great to see. I know, right? It's very nice to see that Power Query and Excel have so many ways to do the same thing and have solutions. But it's nice to present 2 of them and see which one is better for you. And also, even if it's not specifically for what you're doing, it gives you that perspective that you can do things in different ways and get the same results, and get whatever you need to have for your work to continue. So, presentation. Would like to understand the function syntax better. Yeah, probably, you know what, Marvin, I haven't presented here a kind of basics of custom functions, so probably I will bring that later on. So I should have started with that. It's a very good point. I should have started showing what function is, how they work, and how we need to provide the parameters and those signs and those parentheses and the goes to log signs, let's say. But yeah, so that's a very good point. I will probably prepare that very soon, so we can all be in the same on the same way. So I'm not finding the words. I just saw my cat flying. It just was on the table and suddenly just flew. And so sorry, got me distracted. But yeah, that is a very, very good point, Marvin. Thank you so much. I will prepare that for the next sessions. So who else we have here? Thank you so much. Look, very appreciated. Thank you so much for being here, for the support all the time. Same with you, Luis. I'm so happy that you are finding useful Power Query and the English. So thank you so much. For those who don't know, Luis is watching from Argentina, and he is taking the opportunity to learn Power Query and English as well. So I love that part that I'm able to be with you on this journey. So thank you so much. Thank you, Marvin. No, thank you for mentioning that, because that gives me a direction where the audience has more interest. So thank you so much. And I appreciate your time, giving me part of your Saturday. Thank you. Thank you. And I don't see more comments. So I'll let you go now. Thank you so much, and have a great week. Okay, I'll see you next Saturday with new topics and probably bringing that information that Marvin is asking or is mentioning. So thank you, guys and girls. I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye bye.